Hello and welcome to the Left Wave Transmission podcast. We are here in half of our numbers. We've got the wonderful Bridget Empire, Swolsome, and myself, Matriarchetype. We'll do intros in a second. Hopefully Soul Bunny is on her way. So just to let everyone know, we're kind of established enough to explain it. So we will hopefully at some point be streaming from everyone's individual platforms. We just started off on mine just to find our feet. And today Bridget Empire is going live on her channel as well. So if you are from her channel originally, feel free to watch from there. But it's going to be the same stream. We're all basically in the same call, live at the same time. And we'll hopefully be rolling it out to everyone else. And then eventually we'll be this one big, massive community and it'll all go smoothly and we'll have no technical problems. That's absolutely the future ahead. And I live in that sense of belief. So hello everyone, welcome to the podcast. Should we do a little mini introductions again?
Yeah, should I go because I'm streaming this? I'm very nervous about this. My first time streaming anything on here. I just got it working. We're literally troubleshooting it now with Finn and Louise. So we just managed to get it to work. So that was good. Hi, I'm Bridget Empire. If you're watching this from other channels, then hi. I make YouTube videos about like left-wing politics and trans stuff. And sometimes just things I want to talk about. And sometimes I try to be funny, and sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it does, which is really a miracle, if anything else. Trying this thing for a while. I thought about trying some live stream stuff before, but I really don't know how to do that. Hopefully this will kick me in the ass to do it, because I've been promising to do it for ages. So also, if you're watching this, I'm looking at my stream chat. So if you want me to respond, I'm only going to look at my stream chat, so we can respond if Louise says, but we'll be fine otherwise. This is Left Wave Transmission. It's a podcast that we started doing a few weeks ago, and we talk about current events and sometimes internet things that are fun to talk about, because sometimes you need a break from everything awful that's happening all the time at all points. Okay, I'll stop talking now. Thank you.
I will go ahead and jump in next. Hi, yes, hello, I'm Finn, aka Swolsome, he, him. I am also a left-wing queerdo on the internet who talks about things. I would also be live streaming from my location, but I live in a place that sea shanties are written about, so until I am no longer in this geographic location, it is a miracle that I am able to tune in and be here in the first place. But I am very excited to be part of my first official episode. It was exciting to be part of episode 0, but I am looking forward to being around even more. So yay, nice to see everybody.
Nice to see you. I see the Weller man did come and brought you sugar and tea and rum.
Sugar and tea and rum. Yeah, always. I do not want for sugar and tea and rum, just reliable internet.
Yeah, he keeps bringing the same 3 things. It's like, mate, I need some actual protein. He's like, no.
You will be sugar crashing all day.
Yeah. No one ever says this about the Weller man, but he's really got limited diet options.
Yeah, some ARFID going on there for sure.
How is audio chat? Are we all sounding okay? Levels okay? We should have also the beautiful Soul Bunny maybe dropping in a bit later as well. Let us know how audio is. So, oh yeah, and briefly, if you're coming from another channel, my name is Louise. I run a YouTube channel called Matriarchetype. I also cover left-leaning LGBTQI plus topics, sprinkled in with some pop culture just to lure in some of the normies, as and when I can, to do what good I can in the world. But yeah, so pretty much similar topics around really. So today we're going to talk. We've since episode 0, since the beginning, we've been dancing around a Graham Platner episode, and I don't know. So this is going to be the fabled one. I'd love Soul Bunny to be here, but maybe if she joins halfway through, she can go when she jumps on. But
it would be nice to have an American here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, lest we dare talk about American politics, I actually have something to say about that specific thing. I might open with that, I
Oh,
guess.
good.
Well, I mean,
I do think this is a very American phenomenon to be pro Platner in general, but we'll
well,
see.
should we
That'll come up, I'm
should we do
sure.
like an amnesty? Like, are we pro? Or I think this is the thing. It's going to be much harder. But before we get into it, I did see one thing, and I'm going to name them because he's a lovely guy. I'd love to chat to him. But Carl Kalinske was very much in the vanguard of pro Graham Platner, and the subject of a lot of discourse as well. So I will just say one thing before we actually get into the thing of it, because it's on the top of my brain, on my mind. But Platner calling out the Tabernacle for having an opinion on US politics, and Graham Platner specifically. I have a personal pet peeve of this. When the whole world is watching America, like, do that bike meme where it sticks a stick in the bike wheel and falls over, and is like, how could Iran do this to me? It's like, the whole world is watching, the whole world is affected. As someone, I live in Japan, anyone new to this, new to me, and we have a reserve of oil already based on the US's fuckery. So like, I really am against the idea of like no one can have an opinion on US politics except people in the US. That's so, I think that's like unself-aware of like, do you guys know how bad things are? Like, you're affecting the whole world. So I will just start. I'll open up with the warmth of that, easy round, as it were. But yeah, what do you think about that? As the other,
you don't get to
British
be a
information-
globe-spanning empire, then complain when people around the globe take an interest in what's happening.
Yes.
As
like,
British people,
oh
we
my
know
God,
this.
Exactly,
get
we did
so
it first. We
frustrated by
know.
like particularly as a Canadian, the number of times like I've talked about U.S. politics and I've had people complain. Oh shit! Sorry, Louise. I think you said when Platner criticized the
Oh,
Tabernacle. It was
sorry, no.
Kyle. No, yeah, I
Yes.
figured that's what you meant. Yeah,
It was Carl
when Kyle
Kalinske
Kalinske,
covering
yes.
Platner, and he called out something the Tabernacle said. Sorry, yeah. Graham Platner probably has no idea who any of us are. And good.
Oh no, I think he's
just to
quite
have that.
on. I think he's way more online than he lets on, honestly.
Which, like, honestly, good. And I hope that he's listening. Like, I hope, because, like,
Yeah.
Adam said in chat, I have no idea how to feel about Platner. Yeah, that's a reasonable way to feel about Platner. And we are going to get into that. But, like, first, I do just need to jump on this complaining about when folks in the US tell people outside the US, like, talk about your own politics or, like, why do you care? This doesn't affect you. It's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The US gets a hemorrhoid and everyone else's butthole itches. Like, this is. Like, there's nothing that they do that doesn't affect everybody else in the world. Here in Canada, we literally have a separatist movement that are bought and paid for by the same oligarchs who are destroying the United States. Like, they're here already. They are here already. We have surveys that go out regarding like our understanding of foreign interference in Canada, and it specifically asks about Russia, it asks about India, it asks about China. It doesn't ask about Israel, and it doesn't ask about the United States especially. And I would venture that the United States is the largest interferer in Canadian politics by a huge margin, like no contest. And so, like, for people to say like, why do you care? Of course we care. Of course we care. Just because colonial borders exist doesn't mean that people's cultures don't intermingle. It doesn't mean that people aren't affected by like the goings on around the world. Like, borders are made up. They're not actually real. The things that your country does, the things that people believe in your country affect everybody else in the world. I'm already ranting. We just got here.
It's
so
like
sorry.
the easy round. No,
It's one of those topics, yeah. The Moon VR 5DF says, "How dare we lowly vassal states have opinions on our imperial overlords?" I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, all of Europe is
Truly.
basically like and the world that even like compared to like most of the world, like Europe and Canada and Japan are like, we are like they like let us pretend that we have actual autonomy, whereas it's just open with most other countries about how they don't matter. It can just interfere in their politics all the time. If they don't like your government, they'll just overthrow it. Look at what's happening in South America. Look at the Honduras gate. Look at all of this shit. They're just saying like, if you elect a leftist in South America, we'll overthrow your government, and that's happened all over the world. And because Europe's got this superiority complex from having done the evil things before and still thinks it has the power to do them, it's like, I mean, it is still doing the evil things, but at the behest of America and just pretending it has its own choice about it. But like, they seem to think that like they have that like we're separate, or like there's I've lost my train of thought. It just annoys me so much. Like, there's nothing we can do, especially right now with the current UK government. Like, they just want to be a lapdog to the US, and that's much of Europe is like that right now. Japan's fucking constitution was literally written by the United States. Like, Bosnia fucking they wrote the Bosnian constitution in Dayton, Ohio. This is not a normal set of affairs. Like, you don't get to complain when people are annoyed about this shit.
100%. I think it's also a lazy talking point in rebuttal to not really having something good to say. No offense, Carl Kalinske, but like, it's a lazy. I would consider that a lazy rebuttal if it was used on the right. Like, do you know what I mean? Of like, oh, stay out of our politics. It's like, well, as we've all just quite said, it affects everyone, but also it shouldn't. Even if it doesn't affect everyone, we can have as much empathy and fear and worry about a country that is not on the global stage, like the anti-LGBT laws happening in Ghana. Like, we can all be aware and worry about various things happening across the world, and not having an opinion, I think, is valid. But like, specifically with the US, it does affect us all, as we've all just said.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I think that was a perfect intro round because it's established that we all are allowed an opinion before we start waffling on
Well,
about our
strong
opinions.
opinions.
Yeah, this is
Very, very strong opinions. My primary export these days is just strong opinions.
I think that
unfortunately now my job.
Yeah, totally. It's our job to have an opinion. I think,
True.
as you just quoted someone saying in chat, and I agree, like, there is no answer. And I think that's something that people, as maybe on the West, aren't used to having. There's no neat, good or evil, yes or no. This is what we all should believe. Okay, everyone just file in line. Like, people have to actually come to their own opinions of what they're comfortable with. And I find that to be maybe something that the left has as a weakness compared to the right, where when the right needs to, it's so capable of just falling in line. If Daddy Trump says do this, you can pretend that you didn't say it last week, and suddenly now, yeah, we should invade Greenland, or suddenly now, yeah, I don't really care about the price of oil. Like, they are capable of just falling in line. And I think they do that from a peer pressure based element of, I will lose my community and my family if I don't fall in line. Obviously, that's horrific, and that's not the ideal thing. I think it's good that we have so much discourse and left infighting, because that proves that we're all capable of such. So, like, I think that's the way we should all be. But like, I think it also means that we have to not have like idols. Like, I found myself nearly falling in that trap with Hassan for a few months of like last year, of being like, well, if he agrees it, I'll agree with it, and then having to kind of be semi pulled out of that and be like, actually, let's think for ourselves, Louise, because not everyone is perfect, So with that,
we're not immune to parasociality, unfortunately. Yeah,
100%, even where we are.
I think it's also true that this is a very, 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 and I know that before we started recording, I was already getting into this a little bit. It's a very white leftist problem. It's a very, very white leftist problem. And it is specifically going back to that whole, colonialism, it affects the world thing. I think that a lot of white leftists really need to work on, it's going to sound so theoretical and so many people are going to roll their eyes about it, but like, how has your mind been colonized? How you think about things? How has that been colonized? Because for the right wing, it's the same problem of either or. It's the same problem of binary thinking. And so people need to believe that Graham Platner good or Graham Platner bad. And then any attempt to discuss the nuance, any attempt to get into the fact that, ultimately, like, yeah, he has like really overt left-wing politics on many issues, like Medicare for all, for example. That's awesome. That's great. He's very unapologetically a socialist. That's a democratic socialist. That's awesome. That's great. But also, he's a war criminal. Also, why that guy? Why this like gruff, blue collar coded, like former veteran? Well, I guess that's the definition of veteran white guy. Like, why this guy in particular? This all needs to be part of the conversation. And what's so frustrating is that it does get reduced into that either he's good or he's bad. And people aren't looking at why they feel the need to operate within that binary. They're not looking at the fact that like we're approaching this with those colonial frameworks. And part of the problem for white leftists, and part of like what I've come to understand specifically from like BIPOC leftists that I've talked to about these issues and similar issues, is that they're not ready to ask those questions. They're not ready to look at how their own thinking impacts their visceral and emotional reactions to politicians like Platner. And that's where I think a lot of the issue surrounding him is coming from, is that too few people are okay with being like, I don't know how to feel. There's like really there's a lot going on here. They feel they need to be in the camp or out of the camp.
I mean, you know, as leftists, especially like as like Marxists, if you identify with that, you're supposed to be working on like material conditions and material reality, right? I mean, it's a lot of so, like a lot of the leftists, we're bound by principles first and foremost. We're meant to be bound by like materialism, and it's like a whole different thing with the right, where it's based on like a reaction to things and like fear and conserving what they think is good and taking back what they think has gone too far. Is a very different thing to be there and be like, because if you come in with principles and especially come with like all the facts and you're looking at everything, you're not going to be able to come in and just and just like not have that conversation. And like criticism is important, and like self-criticism is really really important. And if we have this thing and we insist that people go blindly into this stuff, it's genuinely bizarre. Like I feel a lot of the people responding to people like being like acting like trying to ostracize people who rightfully are very skeptical of Platner for very obvious reasons because of every bad thing that he's done, and acting like there's some sort of wrecker is just it goes against the very thing you'll say you're trying to build. I think it's damaging.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. It does feel like everyone has to be on a side, and I think the voice is saying, hey, there are no sides, and also two things can be right at once. They're so often like poo-pooed as like not being well thought out enough, but like to give my like I think that's where I land. Like I think like Graham Platner as a person, no one knows him really, no one can trust him. He's also in a system of democracy that is so untrustworthy. You can say what you want, get elected, and do what you want after. There's no accountability held. And that to me is risky for anyone, let alone someone that has a history of killing people, war crimes. I don't live in this illusion that because you're in the army that like doesn't change you in the same way. I think it changes probably more. Like I cannot people can be forgiven and move on and change, but that doesn't erase the past. We can move on past it, we can go past it, we can move forward, but it doesn't mean that never happened. And I don't think someone like him should ever be treated as someone that didn't do what he did. And but my conclusion after coming to all of this of like I also understand why he is with if we put perspective of Palestinian people is a better option than a starch Zionist. I completely understand that too, and I understand that decision. Like those two things, like I say, can be true at once, but they affect each other. But what I take from it as someone outside of US politics, but as someone similar politics all around the world, is that like the fact that these are the only two options should be in people's mouths 365 days of the year. It shouldn't be when you have these two options in front of you, choose lesser evil or evil, and then forget about it and move on. Like I think like there should be much more aggravation for the fact that these are our options. These are the people in the US's options. Are you joking? Like this is a farce. Like, and then no, like I say, no accountability. People like, I think I saw Karl Kalinske say like, hey, if he gets in and he goes against his word, I'll say sorry. And it's like, he shouldn't be able to go against his word. He should be, if you go on any policy and get elected and you go against that policy, you should lose your position. That's so common sense. B, an apology isn't going to mean F all to the people that affects. It's going to be far too late and so dangerous. And C, there's no kind of backtracking. It would have already happened. An apology doesn't mean shit. I mean, that's kind of similar to my point on B, but it's doubly important.
I mean, they're so used to people having absolutely no accountability. Oh, sorry, I had to turn my gain up a little bit because someone said it was quiet. Does it sound better now? Is it louder now? Okay, cool. Yeah, people are so alert, like so used to not having any accountability that they like come into this stuff already conceding. Like they're not even prepared to like hold people's feet to the fire, and it's really fucking frustrating. Like I feel like these guys saw the John Fetterman thing and then thought, well, they and a lot of people talk about this with Platner for very obvious reasons, but like you have to be aware of that and you have to be ready for that conversation. And I feel like people are still coming in with such just, they're coming in ready to be like throw all their weight behind this guy, like not critique him at all because they need to like lift him up to get him into the position. But so no, you should not be doing that. People rightly said that with like say Kamala Harris, and rightly they should have done. Be like, we need to critique her now because once she's in power, we can't do shit about it because there's no accountability system in US politics. There's no recall of senators, there's no recall of House representatives, there's no recall of the president, there's no recall of anyone. And it's this is the one time you can do this. And I think trying to denigrate people who are doing that is just, it's counterproductive. And people know it's counterproductive because they say it for other people. So why are you making exceptions for this one fucking guy who's like done much worse than most people you do this for? Like way fucking worse than most people you do this for. I'm going to try and turn the gain up again.
Well, just what I could not agree more, Bridget, and what you were saying, Louise, that there needs to be accountability. Getting back to that like need for decolonized frameworks, people on the left, particularly white people on the left, they don't question that structure of we have a hierarchy, we pick a hero, and then we all must serve them. Why do you feel the need to serve this man? Why do you feel the need to be so aggressively in his corner that you're not willing to engage in the accountability process at all? Because accountability means that you talk about the things that someone has done. It means that you engage with all of the dirty truths about them. If we want honest leaders, then we are responsible for making sure that we get honest leaders. We need to talk about the things that he's done. We need to talk about the fact that, yeah, he's a war criminal. We need to talk about like the racist stuff that he said online, the homophobic stuff that he said online, the fact that he had a freaking Totenkopf tattoo. Like, this is all important. This needs to be part of the conversation. And yes, it is also true at the same time that the mainstream Democrats, let's describe them that way. Liberals, mainstream Democrats, along with the right wing, are terrified of this guy, which is honestly a point in his favor. It is that they are trying so hard to knock him down. That makes me inclined to listen to what he has to say. That makes me inclined to listen to the people who are in coalition with him, who have been impressed by how he showed up, by the work that he's putting in. That is true that they are trying to sabotage him. And we also need to be honest about the things that he's done and who he is as a person. We also need to be honest about the fact that I presume heterosexual, because he's only talked about dating women, but presumably heterosexual, very masculine coded white man can literally commit war crimes and work as a Blackwater mercenary and still run for Senate. Whereas, like, can you think of a single example of a marginalized person who has done anything remotely close to that and having the same access to political success and a political career? Fuck no, that's not going to happen. So I just,
Yeah.
ugh,
It's not
I'll keep ranting if I don't stop here.
it's not even a double standard. It's a different world. And like I think FD Signify said it, and apologies if I'm misquoting or misunderstanding, but he said, like, where is this amount of heat for all of the other candidates that have the same policies that aren't white men? That I don't want to mispronounce names. I don't know names by heart, but the people that Hassan Piker, to his credit, he's running around doing the work and supporting all of their campaigns, or a lot of their campaigns. They are running on the same policies, but we don't have ride or die left, white men screaming that they should be, the heroes, like Finn just said, and that I think there's still so much internalized American centricity, or America is the core of the world. Within that, white people are the core of the world, and
Exceptionalism.
is that what exceptionalism is?
Yeah.
Thank you. I've always wondered.
Yeah.
Like, there's still that so in its core, and I think it feels very like taking off the blindfolds to this kind of thing. That once you once you unsee it, you're like, oh, you're kind of still in that. Okay, that's fine. Like, where is this heat for everyone else? And
yeah. And where is and so I want to bring it up just before I forget. There's a great piece that someone shared with me by Shea Stewart Boulay. I think it's Stewart Boulay. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Apologies if I'm getting that wrong. But Black Girl in Maine Media. So she is a writer, like, specifically that's her thing, and I'll send it along to you, Louise, her
yeah,
piece.
please do.
It's
That'd
worth
be cool.
reading. It's worth reading to sort of like get one Black woman's perspective as someone who lives in Maine on Graham Platner, who's like been to events that he's at and stuff. It's important. Like, you should be getting all of the perspectives. But I really want to bring up, and he didn't ask for this. He didn't ask for this comparison. But is anyone familiar with Greg Stoker?
Rings a bell. The name rings a bell.
So Greg Stoker is one of the hosts of the Colonial Outcasts podcast, which I highly recommend listening to if folks haven't yet. He's also one of the flotilla activists. And when I think former U.S. service member who has witnessed and committed war crimes genuinely showing up in a way that they are taking accountability for that and trying to change for the better, I think of Greg Stoker and people like him. People who are not trying to rehabilitate the existing system, but actively trying to take it down with the knowledge that they have acquired. Now, this isn't me saying that that's not what Plattner intends to do. This isn't me saying that, like, you can't make changes from within the sort of like colonial hegemonic electoral system. That is the system that we're working with. We do need to learn how to work with it while we're making those changes. But I do think that he provides a really good example of someone who is a white guy who, served in Afghanistan, who saw all of these things and did all of these things and was like, I was willing to die for that. I should be willing to die for human rights as well. That was where he went with that. And I'm not saying, Plattner, go like die for your beliefs. Not what I'm trying to get at here. But I want more people who are supporting him to understand that there are different standards that you have to hold people to if you would like to challenge the systems that allowed those horrific acts to be committed in the first place. That's what needs to happen. So like, support Plattner, you can like him. Sure, that's great. Don't hero worship and understand that criticism is part of the accountability process. That is what is going to change the system, is by having those honest conversations and by bringing these issues forward.
Completely agree. I just want to completely agree and mirror, like, that's what Bridget said, like, now is the time for the criticism. If he gets elected and then he's in power, there is no room for criticism. So can we not, I mean, has Sam Piker catch strays about this for pre-criticizing the American president thing? I can't remember his name now, but Gavin Newsom or something. Gavin Newsom, for potentially being a US president candidate 4 years in advance. He's already catching strays for saying he's not going to vote for him unless things change. That sums up American politics to me. There's no actual internal want for change. It's like a perpetual cycle of just chasing the next election with no long-term goal. And as Finn said, there's room to make serious and helpful material change in this system. But like, hey, let's think bigger. Let's think bigger, people.
I mean, I'm probably like more skeptical of Plattner than you two from the sounds of it. So
Bridget, you are very quiet again.
Yeah, you've gone
sorry,
very
sorry to
quiet.
cut you off.
I can maybe try and turn it again on my side.
What is going on? Am I just? Is it just taking me out? Can you hear me?
We can still hear you. You're just.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
This is transphobic censorship, frankly.
Oh, that sounded better.
Hello?
Louder for a second.
That's better, yeah.
Yeah, I turned my gain up to full. I usually don't do this because the noise in everywhere I record is so fucking bad. So hopefully I don't sound like I'm shouting at anyone. But yeah, I'm extremely, extremely, extremely skeptical of this guy. I mean, if I was there, I probably would not. I definitely wouldn't vote for him. I mean, I've got to have a red line somewhere. And I think being a war criminal is a pretty big one, especially after the revolunteering. And like, yeah, there's a road to redemption you could go down, and you can prove that you're trying to change. And I get that a lot of people think that he's done that work. I don't think he's done enough of that work at all. Not at all.
Agreed.
He's not expressed true regret for anything that he's done. He's really downplayed the Blackwater thing, like he pretends it wasn't because they changed their name. Like he just got away with the Nazi tattoo thing. Like we would never let anyone else get away with anything remotely like that. And like he doesn't seem to regret what he's done at all. And he liked doing it. Like, and there's a degree to which, right, he was in this Socialist Rifle Association. According to people who have corroborated this and like his own stuff, he like taught like trans people how to use guns and stuff and how to defend themselves. Cool, that's fine. But does that make up for, going abroad and deciding that you liked killing a bunch of brown people? Fuck no. Like, you have to do a lot more. I don't think anyone's really on redemption. I said this before. I have the moral compass of Steven Universe. I think anyone can change if you put enough effort into it. And that is to my detriment. I'm a very forgiving person. It just is what it is. But I really don't think he's done that work. I really, really, really don't. And I think this is the time to ask him to do that. To like, they got him to change the Nazi tattoo, right? They got him to cover up the tattoo. Fine.
After so long as
But he
well.
had
I'm
it
sorry,
the whole
just to
time,
say,
scene was,
yeah, like I would have been. The idea that he didn't get that covered up and removed as soon as he was made aware of it was wild to me. But sorry to interject, but yeah,
Right.
carry on.
Well, on the subject of the tattoo, if you go to a tattoo parlor in Croatia, as someone who got a tattoo in Croatia, you know exactly what you're fucking getting into. You know what's going to be on those walls, because there will be where he went. There will be iron crosses. There will be swastikas. There'll be Ustasha crosses. There will be lots of symbols like that, because there are a lot of people in a lot of countries that do this, but Croatia has got a very strong far right component because of the history of how the country was rebuilt after the Yugoslav wars, where a lot of the nationalism was focused on the NDH, or the independent state of Croatia, which was a Nazi puppet state, a state that the Nazis, when they went over to there to look at how they were doing the big word with an H that we shouldn't say would get demonetized, wrote back to the Nazis in Germany, said, these guys are fucking crazy. They love killing so much. Like, there is a big far-right current in this country. And there's far-right community. Look in Britain, it's everywhere. It's fucking horrendous. But the symbols, there's a lot to be done with making people ashamed of those symbols. There's a lot to be done. You walked in, you know that. And he walked around with it for a long, long time. There is no way he didn't know what it meant. He's talked before about being like a fan of World War II history, World War history. You will know, if you're a fan of World War history, what that symbol meant. You will know. There is no way you won't know.
Symbol.
That's also, it. I wanted to, like, I never got the chance to say this in the moment, but also, like, at the end of the day, if we're living in this belief that he didn't know, then he's also not fit for office for being an absolute idiot at that point. Like, if you are at war and you do that for a living and you don't know the like baddie symbol, then you're an idiot. Like, that's like, okay, I don't trust you then for the different grounds. It's I completely agree. I'm actually really glad you've come in with a bit more fire about this, because it comes down to basically, can we believe if people can change? But my other opinion of this is, I don't really care if people can change. That doesn't mean they should be in power. Like, he can go through whatever fucking journey he wants.
Senate is not therapy.
Exactly. He can, and it's not a place to put someone that we don't have trust in. Again, going back to my point of like, what is the system? But like, he can go on as many journeys as he wants. He can absolutely change his mindset, his life. I personally think killing people changes something in you forever, but maybe that's just my archaic feeling of life. Like, I'm a bit of a Wiccan and that kind of thing, but we'll come back to that.
That's proven. That's science.
Oh yeah?
You know.
I mean, yeah, so like that base level, but also like, why do we have to trust someone? There's a different thing. There's like, okay, I can forgive you, you can move on, I can believe you've changed, I can be so great. Now fall in line, like I said this on that episode, fall the fucking line, shut the fuck up, let people that have been in this space for generations, communities are based in this space, that know the policies that you've changed your mind to, they originated these things, they should be in power, because I can trust them. And like that cognitive dissonance of people just being like, hey, he's saying all the right points, he must believe them, is why I'm sorry. Yeah. So thank you, Bridget. I'm so glad
if you're pro this for ages, if you're pro foreign wars for ages, if you love doing that, you would so into it, you got like a Nazi tattoo, even though you claim you didn't want it, and then you come in, and the moment you start, you read Marx or whatever, or whoever it was, apparently you listen to a lot more the Majority Report, you listen to Sam Zeder for 30 hours, and you're like, you know what I should do? I should be in the Senate. No, you got a lot to do before you go in there. You got a fucking lot to do. You got a lot of work to do.
And it's that self-confidence to be able to say, hey, I've done a few listenings of some podcasts, I'm fit to do this now. Is that exceptionalism? Thank you, Finn, for teaching me these words. Is the exceptionalism that is still in his core, ergo proving that he hasn't learned everything yet? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, so
yes,
it's like failure by default. And the fact that we having these conversations will be cast as, oh, they're the anti Graham Platner left, like, oh, they're too critical, oh, so you're a Zionist. No, like, can we just take a step outside of this whole entire system and be like, maybe there is a reason that you have to pick between someone that is pro-Israel and Graham Platner that we don't trust if he knows what a Nazi tattoo is. Maybe they want that to be the case. Maybe that they want us infighting about it. Like, and I don't know. I keep saying that at the same point, but yeah.
Someone in the chat just said, Lisa Gamer, I think, also said the cover-up tattoo gives white pagan nationalist vibes, and I thought I was going fucking crazy when I thought that.
I got to see this. Do you
don't
mind if I
know.
check my phone?
I will
and
not
look?
say it. I don't know what it is. He says it's a personal thing, but yeah, I also thought the same thing. But I cannot legally say that that's what it is.
I have to have a whole side note about the paganism, nationalism thing. I never knew that growing up, and I always had. I said about this earlier. I was very witchy. I think it was very much me connecting to femininity as a young person. If you know, you know. And I like never knew the history of it. And then growing up, I found that so disappointing, especially as someone British and white. That's like, I was so adjacent to those things, and I did not know that my whole life. That was just a personal thing of like, I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm so upset that that's the case.
I think it's very interesting when you go to other countries, right? Because I feel like when you grow up, well, I grew up in the UK. I went to like a Catholic church and stuff, right? So you see a lot of the Celtic stuff everywhere because it's a lot of it's like from an Irish background and things like that.
Yeah.
And I, for so long, I was like, well, this is a symbol of Ireland. We had like, I went to like, not to dox myself, but a lot of things dedicated to St. Patrick for obvious reasons. And there's a lot of that like Celtic symbolism and stuff over there. And it was just sort of in the zeitgeist, this is a symbol of Ireland and Irish heritage and Catholicism, right? And to go then to like when I moved away and to see every time like Celtic knot is used or like Celtic symbolism or like a Celtic cross, and they use it to denote white supremacy. And it drove me fucking crazy because obviously the history of Ireland is one of being colonized.
Yeah.
And to like try and use that culture.
Just as white, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is much for an American import, right? Because I feel that there's a lot of things about like, especially the Confederacy, being a lot of people who claim to be like Scots-Irish. I'm not going to get into what that means. There's a lot of stuff about the legacy of Northern Ireland and stuff in there, which I'm not qualified to talk about at all. Like almost all my Irish blood is from my American side, so I go through a filter of Yankism, which I'm not going to get into. But yeah, no, it's very disturbing, and I don't know if that's what he meant to do with it, but you know, after all that he did it on the campaign trail when he'd done it, like he was already campaigning, no one spotted it. There's a lot of red flags, you know. He could there's still time. I mean, now the primary's over, so he can do whatever the fuck he wants, basically. But there is still time for him to make some big moves towards making amends, to like be clear that he's sorry, to try and, you know, maybe find reparations for the people he fucking killed overseas. It's not going to change anything, but at least it show your heart's like going in the right direction. And, you know, everyone has their red lines, right? Everyone's got to have their red lines. And I feel people are very, very angry that some people draw the line at what most of us agree is one of the worst things you can do. I think it's very, very silly. And even if you're super pro Platner, you should be aware and okay with the fact that people are not going to go for this guy in that case. And, you know, apparently in Maine, they love him. So maybe that's not the issue. And I don't live in Maine. I don't fucking know. Maine is a very, very white place. And apparently that's the vibe they're looking for. But it is worrying. And I definitely don't think he's going to be like the leftist hero they're claiming. And like Emma Vigilant was like, and I really like Emma Vigilant. I like the Majority Report. I really, really like Emma Vigilant. I think she's a lot of good work. But she was like sort of like implying that he should run for president one day. I'm like, we are not even close to that conversation. He shouldn't be running for senator yet, in my opinion. But also, I am British. I'm a leftist. I'm not his target audience, you know. But still, I would not touch that. I would not touch that.
I think, and I'm sorry. I keep trying to jump in here. I'm like,
no, please. I just wanted to finish my sentence before I let you in.
No, absolutely, no. I did not want to cut you off because you were.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. I think at worst, like read the tattoo and really everything that like all of these things that we've brought up as important points of criticism. At worst, he's hiding. At best, he is just not self-aware at all, which means that his followers, at worst, don't care, or at best, find it appealing that he doesn't do that work that they should also be doing. And that's the big issue that I have with the whole Platner thing, is that if you are not actively unpacking white supremacy as a white person, and I say this as I'm a white guy. I'm a minoritized white guy, but I'm a white guy. I am pagan. That's one of the ways that I've been connecting with like my own, like my own decolonial praxis. Is that's one of the ways that I've been healing is by like sort of going back to the practices of my family, my ancestry. But I do understand that like this is a thing that has been actively appropriated by white nationalists. Like it absolutely has because it has been consumed by whiteness because whiteness is a parasitic identity that eats up everything and then tries to replace it. That's how it works. You need to be looking at it or it has you. Those are the options. If you are not actively engaging with it, then it is existing somewhere within you because that's the world that we live in. You need to be conscious. You need to be targeted about it because if you're not doing that, you're just colonizing resistance. And I say this as someone who like I love Emma Vigilant as well. I really enjoy Kyle Kalinske. I probably watch secular talk more than anything else right now. I'm like,
Me
gotta
too.
get my
Get my news.
daily
Yeah.
dose of like
Yeah.
intense anxiety. Like,
Yeah.
I really appreciate Kyle Kalinske. I don't agree with everything he says, but one of the things that I like about him is that when people bring up criticisms, sometimes he's like, you know what? No, that's asinine. Fuck you. And I may or may not agree with that dismissal, but like sometimes people are just being shitty. But most of the time he engages. Most of the time he's like, yeah, no, like my bad. Like that I shouldn't have said that or I should have learned more. And he owns his mistakes. We need to see more of that and we need to challenge all of the things that make us so defensive in the first place. Um, and if I promise I'm almost done ranting here, but when I say that if you're not doing this work, you are colonizing resistance, I feel like there are going to be people who hear that and get really, really defensive or really mad at me or just like roll their eyes and think like, oh, this like woke social justice warrior nonsense, blah, blah, blah. Why do you feel that way? Like where that feeling right there, that defensiveness, what is that about? Where is that in particular coming from? Especially when you hear the word colonizer, when you hear the word colonizing, why does that get your back up? Because to me, it looks very, very similar to all of the right-wing racists who get so upset about being called racist, but not upset when they're actually doing fucking racism. It's the same thing. It's just you have the more progressive brand of it.
I completely agree. And when you said, like, at the very least, with all of the information we have, why are we all not as a community able to discuss the criticisms of him at least without backlash to having a criticism of him? Because if him and his current state is not worthy of those criticisms and this discourse, then who the hell is? And like I couldn't agree more. Like if this isn't like Bridget's saying, if we don't have red flags now, then what else are we going to let slip through the cracks? Like this is definitely the time for criticism. And honestly, like I have lost a little bit of respect for the hardcore, like it is Graham or no one kind of side of the left. That's like you said, it's been a bit eye opening. It's been like, oh, I thought you were at a certain place with your, taking away that colonizer mindset. Like, okay, so you're not quite where I thought you were. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna compartmentalize you in a box of like, oh, you're still okay, cool. Good to know. I'll just
Yeah.
keep that in my
You
mind.
also
Like,
still shouldn't be running for Senate.
and yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
if the bar is running for Senate, you're not there yet. Is
not
kind
there
of
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that about many people. I think I found the tattoo, by the way. I don't know if I'm allowed to show it on my phone on camera. I guess I am.
Oh,
But
the new one. I don't think it's a hate symbol. Well,
no,
it sort of resembles some Celtic mythology, which could be normal, but also
just for the
there's
sake of
implications.
thingy, I'm scared to show my thing. But like, that's
Yeah.
I don't know if
it's
you
a
can
hound
see.
with
It's
Celtic
like a hound with some
knotwork.
Celtic things. Really interesting point though. Next to it, there's the symbol for love in Japanese, which
Mm,
koi it means.
yeah.
To me, that is also another level of like, oh, it's just a mediocre white guy. But anyway,
I
it's
will
just a
say for
personal-
like if he is, I don't actually know his background, but if he is Irish, there's a whole connection between wolves and the Irish people, and what Oliver Cromwell did in Ireland, where he basically killed that whole, basically wiped out all the wolf population. There was a big community of like wolf tamers. It was a big part of Irish culture, and he just wiped that out completely. There's a lot of history on Ireland with wolves. So if that's what he means by it, then that is something else. But also, it's very hard to tell these days because fascism muddied the waters, which is very upsetting on a multitude of levels. But yeah,
we should
been a bit.
definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, but I've been a bit like because like I know Hassan has like come out and said like some he's tried to back up, be like, oh, I'm still worried about this and that, but I think he has been picking him up a little bit, and like he's sort of tried to strike a balance with that. But I can't really complain too much about that. I mean, I know when I watch Hassan what I'm going to get. And I do watch him all the time, and I'm going to disagree with him on a lot of things. But I think there is definitely a point where like him and a lot of other people, they're very much like they see a person and they're like, well, you're my guy, or like they're very much more willing to like forgive and take a chance on people that a lot of people would not. And a lot of that is because like, you know, he's a white bro, you know, and that's not like an insult to him, that's just literally just who he is. And there's gonna be a difference between what you're comfortable with, what other people are comfortable with, which is probably why he's doing well in Maine. But like that if you're a communicator, you need to think a bit harder about this. And I think he's tried to strike a balance, and I wouldn't go for him too hard for this, obviously. And obviously, because obviously compared to some other people, he's been very quiet about it, but it's just the one that I watch regularly. But yeah, no, for sure, there's a definite level of like, he looks like some guy that they would imagine would be the ideal candidate in this, and that. And it's like, well, you're not playing action figures right now. We're playing with people's lives. You need to be a lot more careful.
I think for them, it is action figures.
Yeah.
Like it is. That's the thing, is like they're so socially safe from like the worst of the worst when it comes to the this kind of rhetoric, that like it is easy stakes for them. Like I think you brought up something really important. Sorry, Louise, to jump in again. Like it. I have to go, and there's so much here that I have to leave. No, I gotta go.
Leave the people wanting more.
So I'm gonna leave on the note that the overlap between the guys, like the people who don't understand that this isn't a game. Like the stakes are much larger for certain groups of people, particularly like racialized groups of people. The overlap between that group of guys, usually men, but women too, and the no war but class war people is basically a circle. And what gets me about that is they love to say no war but class war. And again, I think that this is avoiding like the need to unpack that colonizer mindset, the whiteness, that issue, is that like there may be no war but class war, but racism, white supremacy, heteropatriarchy, these are the weapons that the class war is being fought with. And so if you're trying to detach the class war from those issues, you are going to lose, because you are not dismantling the weapons that actually are like making the machine so deadly. I have to go, but I love you all. I'm sorry
let's do a pagan episode. Talk about witchy stuff soon. I would love that, like non-politics. See if
I would also love that. Okay, bye.
Springboarding off that, because it's in the top of my mind. But like, when we live in a world where Michelle Obama can get transvestigated and racially hate crimed by some random sweaty wrestler who no one knows about, years after being First Lady, this is exactly why this conversation comes to the forefront, because you can't detach all of this misogyny, the patriarchy, capitalism from the class war. And I think people that are so willing to be like, hey, it's class war above everything else, is because materialistically they're not going to be affected by the rest of these things. So breaking them down isn't a priority for them. It's a secondary thing that, like, yeah, it'd be great if we can end racism, but like, I'm worried about having no money. Like, that is because they have the privilege of not having to, or even the experiences in their life to understand that these are intrinsically tied, and that you cannot have an end to class war without breaking all of these cycles and issues as well. So
yeah. I mean, class reductionism is a whole other topic.
Oh, I suppose.
I think we could go for an hour about that.
Yeah.
I guess they are all connected. They're connected struggles. You can't really solve one without the other. You know, you're made an underclass with this, and there's a lot of, and what I try to stress a lot in my work, I don't know how successful I am, is like, you know, what a lot of, because I feel like a lot of discourse in the UK specifically, but also in other places too, is sort of this idea of like, we need to solve the problems of the white working class. It's the white working class that are down, the white working class this, the white working class that. Because it's very easy to divide people if you like, well, the white working class, that's what matters. And the implication is that like white people are the only working class ones. But we know, well, especially like in the UK, most brown people and most black people and are in the working class as well. Like the black working class is always the majority of people, but especially the majority of like ethnic minorities in this country and in other countries too. Like there is no separation from that. You can't solve the problems of the white working class without also answering the problems of the working class and other communities. And often those communities are like very much a working class problem as well, because a lot of people, when you have like the little class mobility that is afforded in these places, a lot of this stuff sort of, you become the exception, right? There's a lot of, we talked about this with Soul Bunny a few weeks ago, but there's a certain level to like which like millionaires, they sort of buy their immunity from this, and their immunity, they're not actually immune, but there's a level to which like they're not interested in tackling those issues, but the people who are going to feel it most are the people who are also poor, the people who are also like, a lot of people get like a lot of discrimination from like say landlords and bosses and stuff, and those are workers' problems, and they overlap with the problems of like racism and sexism and queerphobia and all of that stuff. Like it's inseparable, and the idea that you can separate it is very much sort of like, be like, oh, we'll get to this later. You've not really thought through what you're talking about in that case.
I agree, and I think like this systematic oppression is, to me, like what I think about is like, okay, so say we were just gonna go down the class reductionist thing, just think about the class war. The end result of what would become society after that kind of, I mean, A, frightens me, but B, like we have no idea what that would look like as well. But like I've like spoken to previous friends, the minute I heard this, they were no longer friends, that would say things like they're on the left allegedly, and they say like, well, we'll break down capitalism, we'll have a socialist utopia, but we will need a working class, and it's probably going to be people of color. And I'm like, excuse your effing mouth, you fucking racist piece of shit. Cut my friendship ties, don't speak to them at all. Like that's crazy. Like that's what this could lead to. I mean, it's a bit of an exaggeration. I think that person was a psychopath, but that's what it might look like to just focus on class reductionism or just a class war and
that's not socialism. Yeah, that's not socialism, right? And then you have a working class. The working class still exists. You've just switched over. Well, you're not even switched over. You've let some of you into the ruling class.
Yeah, that's
you've just done a bit of an extension of
just more of them. Yeah. Right. No, I remember when that person I spoke. I mean, it was like an online contact through the channel. But I remember when they said that, I was like, what the people? How could you? Oh, anyway, gross stuff.
There are some interesting people in this space.
Yeah, but that scares me because it's like these are the leftist, extremists that are like, I don't want to share space with them. So what do we do? But then, I don't know. Scary stuff.
This is why the criticism is important, right? This is why we need the criticism that we're trying to get people like Platner to get. You need that. You can't just like...
was going to just say the opposite being on the right, where everyone falls in line, and they are mixing with, you get like, gay people that are a bit fiscally conservative, and they're like going to dinner with people that want to eradicate their human rights, like Dave Rubin and Michael Knowles. That's what happens if you are willing to, pun intended, get in bed with these people. So, and that's why I agree. Sorry to cut you off. What were you going to say?
Oh, I can't remember.
Sorry. But like, that's why I think leftist infighting is important. Someone just asked in chat, this is probably a great thing to end on. How do you guys define leftist? Like, I think for me, as a baby leftist, for sure, I've only been on this for a few years, and I'm not applying to be in the Senate, funny enough. I use it double-barreled. Like, so there's leftist as in like, to me, this is just my understanding, please rip me to shreds in the comments. I'm actually capable of taking criticism, which is something rare online. But like, to me, it's used in both like Marxist theory term of like economically. I think that's probably for me the core of it, of like capitalism versus socialism, communism down the line. And it's a scale of, far right fiscally is, no funding to everyone, rich elites, blah, blah, blah. And the left is like, cease the music production, etc., etc. But then I also do use it nebulously of like, there are these two sides, unfortunately. And I think that when I talk about it in that sense, I'm talking more of like, are you an egalitarian or are you not? Like, do you see every single human being to be equal and worth their human rights? And do you decentralize your, internal racism, transphobia, misogyny, capitalism? Have you broken down all of those walls, and are you an egalitarian at heart? And that's what I would call like on the left. or are you not? Are you meritocracy? Sorry, you know, you don't believe every human right is equal. You believe, you know, you should have to pay for your human necessities to live, and that's to me is on the right. So people that probably know my channel used to me using those quite kind of like, I don't know, interchangeably. Maybe I should change that. But I'm interested to ask Bridget, like, how am I like warm there? Would you disagree with some parts of that? How do you determine them?
I mean, I've not looked up any official definition or whatever. I think it's intentionally fairly vague, sort of for reasons of coalition building, in a sense.
Fair.
Like if you want to, I mean, you could use the term socialist, which would include, like, say, like socialists, and then like democratic socialists, communists, anarchists, all those different flavors within there. And then people would also disagree of like whether democratic socialists belong in the socialist umbrella. And I think it's fairly similar for like a leftist. Like, who do you define as leftist can change depending on who you're talking to. So I think it's a very nebulous thing in general, and I don't think you can really assume what people are talking about necessarily. Like, most people would probably also include themselves in that if they're also a social democrat, which I don't think maybe should be, but also I don't get to decide what words mean.
To me,
also there's
in
a
my
lot
head,
of
I'm like, that's centre left, but like that person might not
well,
consider
exactly.
that.
But depending on what generation it is and where you are, it's a lot of people might consider themselves like leftist if they're just slightly to the left of like Margaret Thatcher, for example. Like, there's this faction in the UK Labour Party called the soft left, which basically just like, oh, we'll just occasionally do something, but most of the time we'll just be ghouls. And it's like, well, that's not really, but you know, they define themselves that way. And it's sort of the way that Nancy Pelosi was calling herself a progressive, even though all she does is like insider trading. Like, it's very nebulous. I would think generally when I say leftist, I mean socialist. And I think sometimes that would include social democrats, depending on the conversation, but I don't really like that it does. But it's sort of also like, it's a very easy way to sort of signal what part of the spectrum you're on without specifying, say, like a tendency, which is the way that you lose 50% or up to 90% of the people who are listening to you. And it's always a very stupid idea, I think, online, when people are like, oh, I'm anarcho-communist or I'm a Marxist-Leninist or whatever, because like, if you're going to reach as many people as you want, you need to be, you know, you don't want to limit your audience to that. Not that people should. I think people who are supposed to try to educate people on those things, it's fine to do that. But for my purposes, and I think for a lot of people's purposes, it's good to be like, I am a leftist. And I think that's what, also that's going back to what a philosophy tube said like ages ago. When they asked what type of leftist are you? And they said like, oh, well, I'm a leftist. And I think it was a good way to do it. It's intentionally vague, but you know what they mean. And most people mean like, I'm a socialist, but they won't tell you sort of the bits and pieces. And also I think that, should I give this hot take? I think tendencies are a little bit overrated and old hat. But this is just, some people are going to get my ass for that one. Yeah, like saying like a specific thing and a specific people. You're
anarchist. Yeah.
You're not necessarily, but like I follow the work of like this line of thinkers and stuff. It's also fine. Yeah, but also like, I think we are not at the point yet where we can afford to like be like, well, we'll only talk to these people. I think maybe later on, but we are not there yet. We need to be quite a broad coalition right now.
And also, like,
I don't mean to include like all the Graham Platners. I mean like broad coalition of actual socialists.
Of actual socialists and different types. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think we all have where we are on it. Like learning about anarchism as it actually is, not what I was taught it was being brought up as British. I'm like, oh, okay, I get that now. And it's a vein of these things, communism versus socialism and stuff. I also see it as like, it depends who I'm talking to, because that's what language is. Like, if I speak to my, you know, left-leaning community that are left of the social democrats, like, we would use those terms and it would make sense because we understand what they mean. But if I'm talking to my conservative family, anyone that isn't brought up to be a lover of capitalism is on the left. Like, so I think like what I try and remember is that like it is not only a gauge between left, centre and right, and like you say, loads of people that say they're on the left are just centre right, like Labour in the UK famously centre right, not just right at this point, they're over to window shifted. But I also see it as like a pipeline as well, and like I've specifically positioned my channel to be a channel that appears very soft left, talks about pop culture, I'm like girly, make jokes, tell the tea, and then I will back it up with like, okay, and if you want to learn more about anarchism, here's Andrewism. If you want to learn more about what actually the difference between socialism and communism, here's Hakim, or check out the Deprogram podcast. Like, and so I think like sometimes it, like you say, it's intentional to be vague because it's that meme of like, you know, going to just having too much detail about something, and then you lose people don't want to people don't connect to
I think especially like, it depends what audience you're going for. I think you're educating on tendencies is very good to cover where you're coming from. I think like generally like we're both trying to reach like a fairly broad audience and bring them to the left. I think there's a real advantage in going in with that. Sometimes I do show my hand, like I think in the last video I did quote Marx and also probably Lenin as well, which is probably way more than I should do. But I do get tempted sometimes, and I do throw a little bit in there. But
we probably think we're being really like covered up and over. We're like everyone watches and knows the second we start.
I literally did a whole thing from 18th Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte. That was not subtle. I think the Lenin quote at the end was a little bit more subtle, but if you know the quote, then you know it's Lenin. But also like it doesn't necessarily matter. Like the left we are so far from getting near power that there's no point fighting over that right now, and a lot of people will disagree. That's fine. You don't have to agree with me. You shouldn't agree with me on everything. Sometimes I get things wrong. Like you know, I'm dumb. I got a PhD in dinosaurs. I'm not talking about dinosaurs because for reasons, and also when I do science videos, don't get that many views. What were we talking about again? Leftism? Yeah, leftism means you're on the left. It's a bit of a I think it moves to the Overton window as well.
I was going to say, I think it moves to the Overton window, so I think we should move past those terms. Like, I think like when I describe it as like one side and the other, I don't think that's a good thing. Like, because I think that is how actually we are divided between like people, elitists in power that are in a completely different world to us and not. But yeah, for now is the language we have. I'm going to actually think I'm going to have to wrap up soon. Are you okay for time? Is it late where you are?
It is 10 minutes to 1 a.m. So if I can work out how to end the stream.
Well, I was going to say,
the stream.
Yeah, we might have some end side technical issues. I was going to say, are you working on anything at the moment? I always like to ask that. I forgot to ask Finn before he jumped off. What's in the pipeline for your channel?
Yeah, so I put out that RuPaul video a few days ago, so that's done.
And the boys one.
Thank you. So I am writing right now a piece about the recent horrible racist shit in the UK. If it's not too depressing, I'll put it out. I'm still on the fence about whether it's not just gonna piss people off. Not piss people off in like I will piss people off, but I'm not in a. It's not something you can really talk about and keep lighthearted, but I think it's important. So we'll see how we go. I might keep it quite short. I do have a rant written. I want to get into more substance, but maybe I can't put it into words without just saying things that might get you put in jail for terrorism for 14 years if you see all the recent news.
Crazy.
And then I've got this hold my feet to the fire on this because I'm meant to be having some stuff coming up. I've got a free run video I'm meant to be putting up with, which has Sinan in it, who was in before. I've been meaning to put that for months. I should put that one up. And I have a video on Prince Andrew that I've also been putting up for months because no one watches my videos about the royal family because they suck. But I needed to talk about the Prince Andrew stuff. Yeah, so there is stuff. I don't know when it'll be coming out and which will be coming out first. And I'm also supposed to be writing this paleontology thing, which I have not started at all. So there's a whole lot. I don't know. The one I'm writing now is on the racist stuff. So very sorry, chat. It's going to be a week of depression. Maybe I'll try and put a joke in there. I think. What are you working on?
Yeah, I want to ask before I say, did you see the GB News apologia for the riots with that absolute cretin of a human? I'll see if I can find the clip and send you. My husband and I were frozen like deers in headlights listening to this woman defend what was happening and trying to dance around it and being like, well, it's not a riot. Where are you going to? And then the guy she was talking to was gobsmacked. He was like, what are you doing? Like, the double standard is crazy. Anyway, until that double standard is eradicated, we will never be free. But yeah,
I think contrasting that with the Palestine Action decision as well, seeing like,
Yes.
well, these guys going to jail for terrorism for 14 years for trying to stop a genocide.
sign.
And then
Yeah,
these people
no.
like holding up a sign, and they could also go to jail for 14 years.
Fascism is
But
here.
these guys are
Fascism is
literally
here.
burning people's houses down and hunting the brown people in the street. That's fine. That's not terrorism. That's
not
normal.
Don't
It's
call
like,
it
okay.
riot. Okay? Is it? Yeah, just an insulting word. F you. Yeah, no, 100%. I need to lose. I'm like irate about it. But I wanted to say I am to let my chat know I haven't released in a week or so because I am working on something kind of big, unintentionally big. So many of you know I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, and House of the Dragon is a prequel to that, and it's season 3 is coming out. So I started this really easy, it's like it'd be really fun pop culture video about Abigail Thorne, who is playing a character called Sharako Loha. She was in the last episode of season 2. Her character's going to be bigger this season, and I was kind of like not rehashing, but like explaining the Tabernacle kind of stuff, the video he put out, calling out Philosophy Tube, the lack of comment on Israel Palestine and that kind of thing, and it has snowballed now to I have like 2 hours of raw footage to cut down and edit, and I'm nowhere near finished, so it's going to take me a long time. But actually I'm really proud of it. It's very video essay adjacent because I kind of semi-parody who I'm talking about. So I've kind of gone back to my like video essay style. I also dress as Rhaenyra Targaryen, for anyone that knows who that is. Look forward to that. I fucking look slay. So, but yeah, so I don't know how it's going to be received. I'm going to have to do that, like submit and then just turn off the internet for a day. But look forward to that. It will be hopefully out in the next couple of days. I'm excited for it. But yes, so after this, girl's got a whole day of editing ahead of her.
Everyone's favorite part of the process.
I know, right? Can you tell
The simultaneously worst and best part of making YouTube videos.
There's nothing worse than when you're not in the mood to edit and it's all you have to do. When I'm in the mood to edit, coffee, husband's at work, I'm feeling it. I'm like, when I don't want to, I'm contemplating throwing my laptop out a window. Like it's anyway, first world problems, but
for sure.
Right. Well, okay. I'm gonna let
Louise,
you
how
end
do
it
I
first.
end a stream?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I would go. So one of them will have a delay if you end the other one first. So I would end OBS. No, end YouTube first. Top right, above the chat thing. Click end stream. Give that like a second, and then end. Stop streaming on OBS. Don't worry, my crew. You'll still be here for a while.
How do I end? Sorry. What is top right next to the chat? It says
so in the YouTube one where you've got the Wi-Fi thing. Above the chat window where it's got live, how long for? It should have end stream clickable there.
I don't think I have that window. I'm very confused.
Well, I mean, or just we've rambled enough that it should end on a good point. You could just go on OBS and click stop stream, and it will cut the YouTube one as well. But sometimes when you do that, you lose a few seconds at the end where the stream stopped, but YouTube is still kind of rendering the last few seconds of stream.
Right.
But that for this point, we're doing this now, so it's fine.
I'm extremely confused. I get chat. This is first time streaming. Obviously, I'm going to have a lot of technical issues. Thank you for joining me. This was nice. I enjoyed everyone that being in chat. Very interesting to do it when it's the majority of my audience is American, but still a big chunk are British and are probably in bed. So interesting. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week probably.
100%.
And maybe I'll know how to end streams then. So if you see me looking very gormless at the end, that is what I'm trying to do.
It's been an honour joining you on your channel for your first stream as well, Bridget, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for everyone on the Matriarch type channel for having me. And I need to change this video title because I had so many topics I thought we were going to do. And obviously the Graham Platner one took the entirety because it's such a big topic.
Yeah, where Finn said he had to go at 5:30, I wanted to get that one out and then we sadly ran out of time. But all of these things I'm sure we can still talk about next week for sure.
For sure. Okay, I'm going to press this stop streamer button and see what happens. Yeah, bye, chat.
I remember editing one of ours before and you were waving goodbye and then I was just rambling for ages and you had to just keep waving. Sorry.
It's not how it should be.
You were like, she's still talking. Look.
I'm so confused about all of this. I don't know how people do it. It's just there's so many steps. I mean, there's probably not that many once you get used to it, but it's
you're doing
it's
great.
not imagine it'd be because like people like connect their like Switch to it and stuff. I don't know how the
Well,
fuck
I
they do
also
that.
have
like-
so much admiration for people that Twitch stream as well. On that note, though,
Yeah.
I'm going to say bye to my chat. Love you all. Thank you for joining on our first multi-stream call. This has been so much fun. This was the Left Wave Transmission podcast. Hosts
I forgot to say
entirely different range of trans creators in this hellscape that is late stage capitalism. Thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you for watching until the end. Please do go back and check out the previous episodes if you're new here. If you've seen someone in the chat that you or like in the hosts that you are new to, go and check out their channel because they're making good stuff. So anyway, thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I love you all so much, and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.